So Amber Group is weighing a direct listing in the US, according to its CEO. So Amber Group is a market maker and just a larger financial system out in the China area. And they're looking at they're worth about $1 billion after a valuation this previous summer. They closed a $100 million funding round in June with a lot of different teams, including Coinbase Ventures and blockchain.com. And of course, they're looking at the US. They're open minded to other locations. But the reason that this is kind of bringing some or raising some eyebrows is just because a lot of the financial applications that Amber Group has are also in the crosshairs of the SEC currently. For instance, look at the lending application that Coinbase just withdrew because the SEC said, don't raise that, we'll sue you. And Amber Group has a lot of those products also. So if they moved into the US market, they would have to fall under some of the US regulations, which of course would really, really hurt their business model. Naomi, I want to get your thoughts on this. Someone not listing on the US exchange obviously is money out of US consumers' pockets because they have less options for financial applications. What is your thought here on Amber Group, maybe or possibly coming to the US?
Yeah, I mean, it's another example of someone who has honed in on value that consumers want. They want these services. And it's really disheartening to see the US kind of block this stuff and to see reports about, like, well, this may not even come to the United States because of regulatory requirements. So it is super sad to see people missing out on that stuff, especially because we talk about crypto as being this great leveler. It's the thing that is meant to break down barriers to entry. The traditional financial system, I mean, you had like Occupy Wall Street movement. Like, you've had so many protest movements based around the idea that existing financial system is an unfair system. You have the treasury and you have banks, and they have like a direct line of credit to the treasury. You just have all this money printing. It just directly gets injected into, the coffers of a lot of these people. It's just a very corrupt system in a lot of ways. We were always hoping crypto would solve that, and it did. And now the US government is saying, actually, we're going to curtail your choices once again. You can't have access to this. You need certain licenses, and then the platform will probably need certain identification and verification from people in order to use this product. Maybe they need to be accredited. So again, it's only the people who already have money who will have access to these things. Like, it's just a really difficult situation. In the US, I don't know if you guys have ever participated in securities offerings that were licensed, where you have to prove you're a accredited investor, right? I mean, the barriers that people have to overcome, you have to have a tremendous amount of money. You either have to have savings, so you have to have income, that's over a certain threshold. These things are not available to certain segments of society. So to say that, well, they could come into America, all they need to do is go through the right gateways, get the right licenses. They just need to become a registered securities offering service. And it's just not that simple. That doesn't mean that people get access to it. It means that some people get access to it. And that's exactly the financial system that we're trying to break down with crypto. It's unfair to curtail the choices of some people, and say you can only participate and have the ability to earn 4% interest if you already make a ton of money or have a ton of money. It's just a very unfair system. But Will, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I have a question for Zach that we can give it to Jen here in a second. DAOs have obviously been a huge thing through this last year, and we've kind of seen most DeFi applications or protocols kind of wrap DAOs into their base layer for deciding how a governance structure works. I'm wondering when that becomes an issue with regulators. Do you have any thoughts on that becoming a thing?
That's a good question. Yeah, I wonder when regulators will figure it out. I think a lot of these projects have been kind of flying under the radar, and then they get to a certain level of mass awareness, and then it's like, oh, okay, wow, wait a minute, we got to check this thing out. Pump the brakes. I feel like there's a lot of things right now in the ecosystem that are still under the radar, and we're just now seeing the things like crypto lending, oh, BlockFi, oh, Celsius, oh, Coinbase, products that have been around for years, but all of a sudden are at enough of a scale where it's sort of percolated to the desk of regulators in states and in the federal government. So that's sort of my read on how that's parsed out. I mean, we're still sort of seeing the tail end of ICO enforcement from the 2017 era. So whether Gary Gensler is going to be knocking on the door of a creator with a social token tomorrow, I don't think that's going to happen because, again, it's just under the radar right now. But down the road, should that grow in might and in stature, that might just so happen. But we'll see. I'll pass it down to Jen because I saw her hand up.
Yeah, just echoing what Naomi was saying. So the Amber Group CEO said the U.S. is likely a destination, but we're open-minded. And when they raised that Series B, they said they were going to focus on what consumers wanted. And just like Naomi was saying, it's very obvious that U.S. consumers want products like this, but it's just another example of how regulation and the SEC is pushing innovation to look elsewhere, and they're not focusing on consumer protection and what consumers want. And so I think as we see more and more examples of this, it's just a sad state of affairs for the US, and I don't see the SEC doing anything that benefits consumers right now. So I started the show on a high note, and now here I am in my emotions
Jen.
again.
It's
I feel
like
right.
I partly to blame for this.
Right.
I was like, no, Jen, focus on the dark clouds.
Yeah, I know. I start so happy at what time? 12 o'clock, and by 12:30, I'm down in the dumps.
All right. Well, Amber Group is low-key important in terms of institutional stuff. And every time I see the pictures that we run of Amber Group, I think of the 311 song, Amber. It was the color of your energy. So you should listen to that song. It'll bring you up.
Oh, my goodness.